We are live. Mashiach time. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing this fine Wednesday evening? Yeah, we're live. Alrighty. Let's get our equipment out. Our bottle plans for the evening. Our true weapons of war. The Torah. There we go. Get my spectacles on, which I'm still not quite used to yet, but at least I found them. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyah b'dvoroi. Ow, that's hot. All right, folks, we are now in Parshas Vayera. This sikha was originally given on Koach, Kaf Ches Tevet, and Rosh Chodesh Shvat, Tavshin Nun Beis, which puts us exactly 28 years ago. No, 29 years ago, excuse me. So it is Rosh Chodesh right now. It's Rosh Chodesh. We've entered the new month of Shvat. And Chaim. I want to dedicate tonight's learning to Aliyat HaNishmat of the soul shall have an Aliyah of my, let me make sure I'm saying this right, my father-in-law and my sister-in-law. It was the yahrzeit of my wife's father yesterday. Yisrael ben Ezri is Neshama should have an Aliyah. And the day before, it was the yahrzeit of my wife's sister, Oshra Bas Yisrael, and her neshama should have an aliyah as well. And we should have Mashiach right now. Let's get learning. Okay. Hold on, let me get everything ready, and we're gonna start launching now. Just sitting on my functions here. Okay. Aleph. Shalom Uvracha, Dov Moshe. Tchilas Parsha Saint. In the beginning of our Parsha, Ve'era el Avraham el Yitzchak ve'el Yaakov ve'el Shaddai v'shmi Havaya lo nadareti lehem. Lochein amor lebnei Yisrael ani Havaya. Okay, the Parsha begins in this week with Hashem basically saying that I revealed myself to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov, the forefathers, in the name El Shaddai, which is one of God's many names that he uses to communicate with us. And with my name Havaya, which is a higher name of God, a loftier, a more name that gives forth more light or more energy, if you will, higher states of consciousness. They did not come to know me by this name. I did not reveal myself to them by this name. And therefore, he's saying to Moshe, say to the children of Israel, I am Havaya. So the Rebbe says it's necessary to understand what's going on here, because something seems a little bit off in this pasuk. So what is it? Aleph. So so the beginning of the pasuk, basically the Rebbe says that I revealed myself to the Avos, which is Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, which are our forefathers. And Hashem saying, I revealed myself to them in a lower name, the name El Shaddai, which obviously it's God, so it's an incredible revelation. But he said, I didn't reveal to them in the name Havaya, which is a much higher revelation. Therefore, he says, Lochein, which basically means therefore, say to the Jewish people, I am Havaya. So in other words, it seems to be saying from the pasuk that specifically because I revealed myself to the Jewish people in a lower state of revelation, therefore, I'm sorry, specifically because I revealed myself to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the forefathers, in a lower name, a lower state of revelation. Therefore, I'm going to reveal myself to the Jewish people in a higher state of revelation. That doesn't seem to make sense. If anything, it would be the opposite. You would think that God would reveal himself to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, which were all tzaddikim, considered the chariot of Hashem. They didn't have any individual or independent will, totally nullified and given over to God. And he revealed himself at a lower level to them. And therefore, because of that, he reveals himself to a higher level to us. Some of us not really doing anything in our outward connection to Hashem. Doesn't make sense. ההפך, תכן הכסריבים שאצל בני ישראל יהיה עניין חדש. שלא יהיה אצל האבוס. So how could it be that Hashem is revealing himself to this new level, in this higher level, to the Jewish people, that he didn't do to our forefathers? What is it about us that we're meriting to have a higher level of revelation more than our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? Base, even more than this. Teichen HaParsha hu aldek ma'alas b'nei Yisrael shizgale etzelam shem havaya shalom yizgale laha'avos ve'elu shem hafrash va'era kai al hizgalus al ha'avos. Hainu she'Parsha sheba medubar oidos hizgalus b'nei Yisrael shelo haya etzel ha'avos nikas al shem hizgalu al ha'avos. So the Rebbe says like this, even more than this. We see in the content in the beginning of the Parsha, according to it says the advantage of the Jewish people, that we had the name Havaya revealed to us. That was not revealed to the Avos. But the name of the Parsha is Ve'era, which is referring on the revealing to the Avos. Right? It starts off by saying Ve'era. That's the name of the Parsha. I revealed myself to who? To Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So the Parsha explains that the revealing to the Jewish people were revealed on a level that wasn't revealed to the Avos, and therefore it's called on the name of the revelation of the Avos. In other words, why is it called Ve'era? I'm revealing myself when it's speaking about a lower level of revealing myself. In other words, the name of the Parsha is always indicative of the content of the Parsha. And the name of the Parsha is Ve'era, I revealed myself. And it's specifically referring to him revealing himself, as it says in the first pasuk, Ve'era al Abraham Yitzchak ve'al Yaakov. Taram Yitzchak and Yaakov. Well, we just learned that God was basically saying, but that's a lower level. So why is it named after the revelation that he put forth to our forefathers, which is on a lower level than he revealed himself to us? In other words, the name of the Parsha should have been Amr the Bnei Yisrael. That's the beginning of the pasuk that says, and say to the Jewish people, I am Havaya. That's the whole mila, the whole advantage of this. So what's going on? We shall find out. Base. Venira the Mar. So it's apparently to say, Shekivan Shnikra Avos, Kamudgar, Beperush, Rashi, Ve'era alav Avos, Sha'avos Haim, the Mila Mahabanim, Umakor the Hem. So Rashi says, and this is emphasized even more, where it says, Ve'era al Avos, I revealed myself to the Avos. That the Avos meaning the fathers, which is Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that they are on a higher level from the children, obviously, where all their offspring. And not only that, they're the source or the root for all the Jewish people. And therefore, there's a big advantage over their children, the Jewish people, us, which are on a lower level. You know, that's the source of the energy, the source of the Jewish people comes from our forefathers. So apparently they have an advantage in their level and their connection to God more than we do, because we come from them. So what is God doing, revealing himself on a much higher level to us than to them? יסיר מזה שלמד עושה אברסי גם לגבי משה שאליו נאמר אני הוויה וידו היה גילוי לשם הוויה לכל בני ישראל כמבואר בפירוש רש"י שאמר להם הקדוש ברוך הוא למשה אבל דאבדין ולא משפחים יש לי להסענן או מסעץ האבס הרבה פעמים להסגליס עליהם ועל שדי ולא אמר לי מה שמך אמרס מה שמו לא הרהרה אחר מדויסי ואתה אמרס למה הרס. Okay. So even more than this, it says there's an advantage of the avos, even regarding Moshe. And on Moshe it says, he revealed himself, I am Havaya. In other words, the avos, our forefathers, came before Moshe. They're the source of all the Jewish people, right? I am the God of your fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Like it's he is that's the beginning. And yet Hashem also revealed himself in the name Havaya to Moshe Rabbeinu. So what's going on? Why do the Avos seem like they're getting shortchanged over here? You would think that they'd merit the highest revelation. We see that the revealing to the Avos. One second. Okay. So we still have to understand that's one thing. So there's two basic questions going on. One, why did God reveal himself on a higher level to the children, to Bnei Israel, more so than the Avos, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, who should have merited a much higher revelation? And also, why does it say specifically in the pasuk, l'chein, and therefore? In other words, not only did God reveal himself on a higher level to the children more than the fathers, but it says in the pasuk, and because I revealed myself on a lower level to the Avos, therefore, specifically because of that, I'm revealing myself to a higher level to the children. That for sure doesn't make sense. Why? In other words, it's just emphasizing and strengthening the question as to the revelation that came to the children more than the fathers. Because he used the word lochein in Hebrew means therefore, specifically because I revealed myself on a lower name to those higher than you, I'm going to reveal myself in a higher name to those lower than you. What's going on? Gimel, Abiyara Indian. So let's understand, let's try to explain this. Mavor B'drushi Chasidus. We're going to explain a little bit according to the Penimis of the Torah Chasidus. Shigilui Shem Havaya, that the revealing of the name Havaya, Hayah B'Matan Torah, took place in the giving of the Torah. Elohim, and so Ha'av Shahad, if Name Matan Torah, not Amar V'ara, Ba'al Shaddai, Shmi Havaya, don't know that? Okay, so here's one explanation. Because the first time God revealed himself in the name Havaya was in Matan Torah, was the giving of the Torah. And that was before the time of the Avos. And therefore it says that God didn't reveal himself in the name Havaya to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov because their time was before that. In other words, generally speaking, look at it like this. This is I don't know if such a good mashal, such a good explanation, but I'll use it anyways because it's the first thing that popped in my head. Look at the Torah like an onion. The depth of the Torah is infinite. I mean, the Torah is a blueprint that God used to create the world. What we see around us in the world, and even the spiritual worlds that we're not aware of, and countless thousands, myriads of spiritual worlds with angels and spiritual beings, it's like a dot compared to what is in the Torah. In other words, the Torah is a blueprint for all of this world, all of the next world, and infinite levels and layers of godliness. It was all revealed, it was all given to Moshe on Mount Sinai. But it was given what we say a nakuda, a point. What has happened is throughout time, as time goes on, another layer peels off, and another layer peels off. And a deeper level of the Torah gets revealed. And look at the Torah in a way as kind of like the filter where God's energy channels through. And the more of the Torah that gets revealed, the more godliness comes into the world. And therefore, before the Torah, God could only reveal himself in a limited capacity, because the energy, if you will, of the Torah to allow divine energy to come from above down to below hadn't existed before. So there was only a certain level that God could reveal himself. Now that the Torah has been given, it's become even more. And now that God has blessed us with Kabbalah going back 400 and something years ago, with Hasidus going back 300 and something years ago, that these deeper levels of the Torah have allowed more divine energy to enter into the world. And therefore, we're able to have levels of godliness revealed that never were capable of before. Okay. המשך הכסוב, ולקחתי אתכם לי לעם, ידעתם כי אני הוויה. And the continuation of Matan Torah, where God said, I am Havaya, where he revealed himself as Havaya for the first time. And therefore he said that I'm going to take you to me as a nation, talking about the Yid and the Jewish people, and that you will know that I am your God. That was the covenant. That was the original covenant. Well, it was with Abraham, the original covenant, as the first Jew, but as a nation, with all of us. And we know that the Avos lived before Matan Torah. It's known that Avraham Avinu kept the entire Torah even before it was given. In other words, even before God commanded it, before it was a command, Avraham Avinu was on such a lofty spiritual level, such a high, that he was even keeping the Torah before. Obviously, it was a little bit different because there was no mitzvahs that were given at that point in time. But he was still keeping the Torah on for the most part, keeping the whole Torah. We'll explain a little bit now. Yudua Shari Avraham Hayisa Mitchila, the Matan Torah, as we learned previously in these classes, that Avraham was literally the forerunner and the beginning of Matan Torah. The whole concept of Avraham doing Lech Lecha was the beginning of the process of bringing forth Matan Torah. כמודגש במצווה זמילה לאברהם שהייסה כמו המצווה של האחר Matan Torah שעל ידם נמשך קדושה בחפץ גשמי אשר בו וקיימים במצווה. We've covered this in earlier classes, but basically what the Torah did, one of the things the Torah did, is that prior to the Torah being given, you had spirituality and physicality that were two completely different things. Spirituality, or holiness, if you will, was up in heaven, and the physical world was down here. And there was no separation between, there was no intermingling between them. There was complete separation between them. It was like an iron curtain, they say, like a wall that separated spiritual from physical. So Avraham Avinu began the process of opening up that separation by doing the first thing to transform physicality into spirituality, which is through his bris milah, by giving himself a snippet, a snippet of the member to begin the members only club. And to think back in the day that we thought those were just jackets. It's an exclusive club. Anyone who's old enough as me, I'm sure Dov, members only jackets were cool. Well, guess what? We're all part of that members only group. Because as Jews, that's part of who we are as identity. We have bris milas. Thank God we don't have to do it to ourselves. We don't have to do it 99 years old. But the point is that the most physical object, which was the member, if you will, I don't know the proper name to call it, but Avraham Avinu turned it into something that had the capacity to be holy. In other words, he began the process of connecting physical and spiritual through bris milah. And that was the precursor to the Torah, which opened up the separation between upper and lower worlds and allowed the spirituality or holiness to come down into this world, and the physicality to be elevated above, until we get to Yemot Mashiach, which the Rebbe said we're already in, where not only is there no more separation, no more wall, if you will, that separates, or ceiling, but physical and spiritual literally become what we say is achdut, oneness. And everything just becomes godliness, becomes holy. So that all started with Avraham Avinu. That was the beginning of the process of him circumcising himself. As it says, Simna yadcha tachat yirachi. Place your hand under, that's right, snippets. Place your hand under your thigh. The fish nishbat tzarich tishatal biyadav chafetz shel mitzvahs, and swear, that on this object that is going to become the source of mitzvahs. I know shaychidus daman Torah hamshachas elokus va'olam chibra yoni betachtoinim. Techila mitzvahs mila Avraham. That's what we just said. That Avraham Avinu began this process of what would ultimately be the giving of the Torah and the capacity to unify the upper and lower worlds, physical and spiritual. That even the unification of the upper and the lower worlds began with the mitzvah of circumcision through connecting through his ever is literally an organ, is the term used here. A limb, I guess, is the proper terminology. A limb in his body, in the body of Avraham Avinu. Yesh Lamar, there's to say, there's so many off-color jokes that are going through my mind right now, because I guess that's part of the problem of being a Baal Tshuva who is always a little bit immature, but I'll just continue on and leave them in my mind. Okay, Shemerumaz gam hakashir v'hashaychos lahi pa'oila ba'oilam, and this is hinted also in the connection, the relevance to the affecting, if you will, the transformation in the world. But pratinim hashavua benakitas chevetz amila. Aleph. Hakasher lahash the hashidach di Yitzchak v'Rivka ichud ma'avaban, and this is also connected to the shidduch, the match, if you will, between Yitzchak and Rivka, which is the unification of the divine energies of Ma and Ban, Kabbalistic terms for masculine and feminine energies. Ma representing masculine energies, basically from above to below, drawing down, and the feminine energies representing the physical, if you will, which is the elevation of the physical world and transforming it into something holy. And as we learned earlier on in Parshas Chaya Sarah, that was the first Jewish wedding recorded, the first ever wedding recorded in the Torah between Yitzchak and Rivka, which began that process of the unification of the upper and lower worlds. All this as a beginning, all this was leading up to the giving of the Torah. Just like everything that is happening right now is leading up to the full and final redemption. I don't want to get into it right now because it gets me kind of fired up. What's happening in the world right now? It's nauseating at the lies and the hypocrisy and how blind people have gotten. But maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that later, time permitting. But unfortunately, as the beautiful quote of Mark Twain says, it's much easier to fool people than to convince them they've been fooled. Yeah. Shuhu in klal is called avoda the kiyum Torah mitzvahs, and this is including also the service of fulfilling the Torah and mitzvahs, which brings forth the unification of godliness and divine energy from above into this physical world. And through this, it draws down the holiness into the lower worlds. It's like you ask a lot of from people, why do we say a blessing before we eat or drink or partake in any physical pleasures in this world? And to thank God, to praise God, to show gratitude, to be appreciative, think about God. Those are all valid and legitimate answers, and they're all true on a more revealed or lower level. But from a deeper perspective, there's nothing holy about this cup of tea. It's tea. There's nothing holy to it, just tea. So, I mean, it's kosher, but other than that, there's nothing holy to it. But when I say a blessing on this tea, and the moment I say a blessing, I'm transforming something mundane, like a sip of tea. And there's godly sparks, there's godly energy trapped in that tea. And by saying that blessing, I'm elevating those sparks back up to the divine chariots, which is in the prophet Yechezkel. It talks about the image of the man, talking about the Esther spirits above the Adam Elyon in the world of Atzilus, riding on the throne, on the chariot, which is the world of Bria. It's explaining. Can't go into the whole thing right now, but it's drawing down divine energy all the way up from the upper worlds into godliness, and literally rectifying and fixing and turning this mundane tea into something holy. Allah has come of Akama, how much more so now when I'm using it to make sure my throat is not getting dry, to learn Torah. So yeah, you're thanking God, but the point is that ever since we got the Torah, every time we use physical objects, tefillin is something holy in and of itself, but money you're giving for tzedakah, the eating, drinking, you're elevating godly sparks. That's the whole point, one of the whole points of why we're here, to reveal godliness in this world by transforming something that appears to be mundane into something holy. Base. The idea, Eliezer, Eved, Abraham, שבנוגע להשידך ליצחק אמר לו אברהם לעזר בני ברוך אתה ארור ואין ארור בדרך בברוך. And through Eliezer, who was a servant of Abraham, that he's the one who effectuated the shidduch of Yitzchak. And he, of course, tried to slip in his wife. His daughter. Said, hey, how about her? I'll take her. And Abraham said, I'm sorry, because my child is blessed and your child is and your daughter is cursed. And someone who's cursed cannot cling to someone who is blessed. And just now's not the time to go into it. When it says cursed, it doesn't literally mean that there's a cursing on her. It just means that there's a different energy between a Jew and a non-Jew. A Jew has a godly soul, a non-Jew does not. Everyone has an enlivening soul that keeps us alive. A Jew has an additional soul. That was what we got when we received the Torah on Mount Sinai. And therefore, it doesn't mix together a godly soul and a non-godly soul. The shidduch couldn't work. There's a different inner makeup. Even though on the outside it may look to be the same, inside there's a different dimension. It would have been like two opposite ends of the battery, or two positive charges of the battery that would repel. And that's what Abraham said to Eliezer. Nevertheless, and Eliezer was still the one to effectuate and bring forth the shidduch. So who cares? What does that mean? And this emphasizes the matter of transforming darkness to light and bitterness to sweetness. And through this, it brings about the unification of the upper and lower worlds and the ultimate completion. Again, darkness of referring to a world that is concealing God. And when we transform it into a place of light of godliness, and bitterness, also the same thing. That unfortunately, or however you want to look at it, fortunately, if you live a life that is deprived of God being connected to it, and you think you're in charge of yourself, your life is going to be bitter, because you're going to often find yourself frustrated, aggravated, alone, uncertain, because there's no presence of God in your life. You're kind of fumbling around. So that's the idea, is to transform that stuff into lightness and sweetness. And therefore, when it says, I revealed myself to Abraham and the Avos and the name Al Shaddai, and this was connected to the mitzvah of Milah. That's when the first revelation took place, when Abraham did the snippet. Shabbat Chil Ha'inin the Matan Torah. And this was the beginning of the precedence, however you like to say it, to Matan Torah, which included also in the beginning of the revealing of the name Havaya, which took place in Matan Torah, which shall be further explained shortly. Hold on, I'm just doing a sound check, seeing what kind of timing we have, so I know how to pace myself. Okay, Dalit. Nevertheless, even though we learned all about these wonderful things that Abraham did, and he was the beginning of the Jewish people in the preparation for the receiving of the Torah, nevertheless, he only revealed himself to Abraham by the name El Shaddai and not by the name Havaya. And this is since it was only connected specifically to the mitzvah of Milah, of circumcision. And we can learn out from this that the connection to the revealing of the name Havaya, which took place during Matan Torah, is because on Matan Torah, this was the actual unification of the upper and lower worlds. And the drawing of godliness into the world. Since the name Havaya is Bli Gvul. Bli Gvul means without any boundaries or limitations. Infinites. Mitzad Tokef or Bli Gvul Nimshach Gam Lamata. And from this, the power and the revealing of this light of Bli Gvul was drawn down below. There's two different ways or divine energies, if you will. There's what we call as Bli Gvul and Gvul. Bli Gvul means without any boundaries or limitations. It's talking to the light of Soviv Kalamim, a surrounding energy of lights that is not, that's too lofty. When we talk about levels in light, it's more like spiritual levels or holiness levels, that it's too godly, too spiritual to enter into a vessel. And then we have what we call is the light of Gavul, which is boundaries, or the light of Mamadi Kolamim, which enters down into physical boundaries, right? Like Mamadi Kolamim is the light that enters into our Sfirot. And depending on the more you connect to God, the more Torah you learn, the more mitzvahs you do, the more you sanctify and purify yourself, the more you become a vessel for godliness. The more godliness you could contain, and the better relationship with you have with God, and you have more consciousness of God, and you get more connected to God. So this level of surrounding light, which is like much higher light, because it doesn't take a reckoning to who or what it can contain it, was not really revealed in the world prior to the giving of the Torah. In the giving of the Torah, it was brought down into this world. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but ultimately, what's going to happen is that they're both going to be revealed in the boundaries of the world. That's what Mashiach's about. Okay. And since that Abraham drew down the holiness below only in the mitzvahs of Milah, Abraham Avinu, through his organ or his limb, excuse me. In other words, Abraham Avinu did not transform the entire world. He transformed his member and turned that from something physical to something holy. But it didn't penetrate through the entire world. When the Torah was given, that divine energy of Havaya was then able to go into the entire world. It wasn't just one individual. But explained it in a different since the drawing down of holiness below through the mitzvah of Milah, is through specifically the power of Bli Gvul, or above or without boundaries whatsoever. And this began becoming revealed, the name Havaya, in the giving of the Torah. But the power of Bli Gvul, of no boundaries or limitations, is not recognized in a revealed way through the drawing down. One second. Is not recognized in a revealed way through the drawing down also into the world. So in other words, Al Pizeh Yumtar Diuk Maloshin Mishmi Havaya Lo Nadarati Lo Hadarati Ein Kasiv Kan Ela Lo Nadarati Lo Nichrati. So according to this, what it says, in a deeper way, according to the Lashon, the language, and the name Havaya was not known to them. Lo hadarati, ein kasiv kan, elo lo nadarati, lo nichrati. In other words, not that they didn't come to know me, but rather that I was not recognized. Shachesroinhu rak bahachra mizgalos. In other words, what was lacking was only the what's the word I'm looking for? Not the acknowledgement, if you will. It wasn't perceived in a revealed way. But the main matter of drawing down and revealing the name Havaya began in the mitzvah of Milah. In other words, that began the process when Avraham Avinu gave himself a bris. That began the process of God revealing this name Havaya, which would come forth in the giving of the Torah, this very high level of energy of godliness. But it wasn't discernible because the world didn't have the capacity for it because the Torah hadn't been given yet. Hey, ba'oinik yoser. In a deeper way, in addition to the beginning of the bringing about the unification of the upper and the lower worlds, which is the unique thing of the giving of the Torah, which started with the mitzvah of Milah, yesh etzel avos in an alish yoser. So there is something connected to the avos, which has an advantage even more. The unique thing of unifying the upper and the lower worlds oh boy, I keep losing my place. Of the upper and the lower worlds. Who begidrei ha'olam in the boundaries of the world. Which is divided between the upper and the lower. That there was a decree, as we said earlier, that separated between upper and lower. And in the giving of the Torah nullified this gezerah, this decree between upper and lower worlds. But from the side of the level of godliness that is above, from the boundaries of upper and lower, it's not irrelevant to say there's any separation between upper and lower. In other words, it says, Ani lo shiniti, I did not change, meaning that God is the same before the world as he is after the world. From God's perspective, there's no world. Everything is godliness. The whole world is just like, it's just impossible to give an example, but it's like you're blowing a bubble. Chewing gum, you blow a bubble. It's been a while since I've done that. I can't afford to have gum smack into my beard. Unless Do they still have Hubba Bubba? Hubba Bubba. Remember Hubba Bubba bubblegum? Big bubbles, no troubles. It supposedly didn't stick to your face. So imagine blowing a bubble. That bubble, you could just suck it back into your mouth. It's still connected to you. The whole world is just like a breath of God's air. The whole world exists in God's breath, if you will. And it's just, whether it's there, it's not affecting God. He could just put it back in his mouth, so to speak, and pull it back in and, first taste, move on and say, okay, this is the end of the world. We don't need it anymore. The world exists from our perspective. So the fact that there's a separation between upper and lower, that was only for us who are below. For God above, there's no separation. God doesn't separate himself. It's an illusion, if you will. And the world sure is an illusion. And, pretty soon God's going to start opening up the matrix. Get ready, boys. We're in for a wild ride. Things are about to get interesting here in the world. That comes out from this, the upper and the lower worlds were equal, also before Matan Torah. The חידוש למתן תורה הוא שגם בגדרי העולם שיש בו גזרה והפסק בין העליון ותחתונים תמשיך דרגת הלבוש למעלה בגדר העליון ותחתונים. So the unique thing of the giving of the Torah is that also in this world, within the boundaries of the world, it removed the separation between the upper and the lower. It allowed for the godliness to draw down into the world and the world to elevate above. In other words, from the perspective and reality of the world, from God's perspective, he didn't need to give a Torah to have an opening between upper and lower. He's not bound by any type of creation or anything he makes. It's like the stupid, what do you call this? A riddle or something that, non-religious people like to say. Can God create a rock that he can't lift? That's stupidity. Yes, he can create a rock that he can't lift. And yes, then he can lift it. He can do anything. It's God. And from this we can understand also the connection to the revealing of the name Havaya to the Jewish people and the giving of the Torah. And take to them, I will take to them as a nation to be my nation. And this is connected specifically to the work of the Jewish people down here in the world through fulfilling the Torah and the mitzvahs, which brings about the unification of the upper and lower worlds. Nevertheless, the essence of a Jew is above even from the Torah. Yes, the Torah was given to us down here so we can unify the upper and lower worlds through mitzvahs. But the source of our souls is up above, one with God, before the giving of the Torah. It's throughout our history, and Hashem shall and will avenge our blood. All the pogroms, all the hatred, all the anti-Semitism, all that against the Jewish people is against God. They're literally trying to destroy God. It's a war against God. We're just a conduit. We're just basically God's representatives, if you will, in the world. But the source of hatred for Jews is because these animals, it's not even nice to call them animals because an animal is on a much holier level than these people. They want a world without God. And believe me, you don't want to know why they want this world without God, but it's beyond the most disgusting thing you could possibly imagine. I mean, horrific. I mean, there's a lot of talk about it right now about things with children, and that's not made up stuff. This is going back all the way to the days of the Torah. I don't want to get into it, but these people want to live in the most repulsive, disgusting world that you can imagine. And they want to enslave anyone who doesn't want to be part of it. And their objective is to rid the world of anything that's connected to God or any rule of God or any law of God. But they're in for a rude awakening. As it says, does he who creates the eye not see? Is he who creates the ear not hear? Every single thing that's happening, these people are hilarious. They think they're meeting in secret rooms and having all these secret, they have everything's tracked and everything's, nobody could tap into their communication sources. And one by one, watch, God's going like this, bloop, bloop, and pulling up the curtains, and all the garbage is coming out. There's nowhere to hide. You can't hide from God. These people, the problem is they're so arrogant that they think that they're getting away with something and no one sees it. Like there's somewhere they can hide. God creates them, and God creates the world that they're in, and God doesn't see what they're doing. Anyways, so the essence of a Jew is even from above the Torah, and therefore the level of the Avois, Avraham Avinu, which began with Avraham Avinu, Rosh La'amanim, the very first to believe, Petach Atzinor, the Koach Ha'amuna, Mesirius Nefesh, Shemetzad Etzem and Hashem, that he opened up the pipe and brought forth the power of true faith and self-sacrifice, which is connected to the essence of the soul. It's important we speak about this briefly. Hold on, just again want to make sure we're not going over. Okay, so it says Abraham opened up the pipe for Amunah, which is faith or belief, and Mesirius Nefesh, which is self-sacrifice, from the essence of the soul. In other words, every one of our souls, every single Jew, before, when we're above and we're connected to God, up in the world of truth, and we get lined up for a military service, if you will, and God sits down, he did this with all of us in general before we agreed to the creation of the world, and he does this to every one of our souls before it comes down in the world. We sit down with God and said, are you ready for your mission? Yeah. That mission is, I'm sending you into a world that's going to have a lot of temptation, and I'm going to be hidden from you in that world. But you're going to reconnect to me by learning Torah, by doing mitzvahs, by following these instructions. And you're going to do everything you can to help those around you do the same thing. That is your mission. That is the essence of your soul. The essence of your soul realizes that you're not here in this world for yourself. While you're down there in this world, God says, you can enjoy that world. There's beautiful fruits and vegetables and wonderful things to eat, and there's wonderful things to do, and you can enjoy nature, and you get to get married, and you have, if you're a man, you find a wife, if you're a woman, you find a man, and you make a beautiful home, and you could have children, and you can teach them Torah and mitzvahs, and you could go on vacations, and you could have a nice house and a nice car. You could have all these wonderful things. But don't forget, that's not why you're going down there. You're not going into that world to forget about your mission and say, oh my God, you didn't tell me there's going to be Bentleys down here. And look at all these hot chicks running around, God. You didn't mention any of this stuff. Thanks, but no thanks. I'm going to enjoy this world. My God. Chas v'shalom. It happens all too often. We get down here and our souls forget about where they came from, and they forget about their mission. So Avraham Avinu opened up that pipe. He opened up that capability for every single Jew to remember and to realize we're not here for ourselves. That is Mesirius Nefesh. In other words, as tempting as this world may be, we can never let it interfere with our true focus of why we're here. Again, we can enjoy the world on God's terms. On God's terms. I went out to dinner. I took my family and my father out to dinner. And he likes to make fun out of my observance. And we took him to a very nice restaurant, and he kept complaining. He kept complimenting and saying how delicious the steak was. Wow, this is a great steak. It's delicious. I said, now tell me the truth. If I didn't tell you this was kosher, you wouldn't have known the difference. He said, yeah, I would have, because it's overpriced. But the point is, from the taste, there's very few things in this world God is depriving us. But we have to do it in the right way. We have to do it in the holy way. And that is the understanding, that is self-sacrifice, to know I'm not here for me. This is the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life is when we're connected to life, to our source, and we're remembering and we're all the time working to reconnect to our source and to fulfill our mission of revealing God in this world. The tree of good and evil is when we start looking at the world from a tainted lens, from a self-conscious lens, where everything is revolved around the old wonderful I. Well, is this good for me? What am I going to get out of this? How am I going to make more money? How am I going to further myself? How am I going to? The definition of good and evil becomes mixed up and becomes based on my individual selfish perception of what I can get, what I can take from this world. So Avraham Avinu opened up this capability for everyone to have, first of all, Amunah. Amunah is the highest level of Keter, of the crown, and that is belief and faith, and knowing that all the difficulties and all the challenges while we're down here on our mission are going to end, and God's going to take us out of here and redeem us. And the whole purpose of all this challenge and difficulty we've been going through in a nation for over 3,300 years is going to become revealed. And all the people who have had Jewish blood on their hand, Hashem Rachamim, Hashem should have mercy on them, because they have no idea what they're in store for. They have no idea what's going to happen when God puts that light switch on, and when they all realize, oh my God, we've been persecuting God's firstborn, his only children that he sent down here to help make the world a better. Oh, we're sorry, God. We're sorry, God. Too late. Better start doing tshuva now. Anyways, Avraham is the one who opened up this capability. And this is connected to the essence of the soul. Deep in our souls, we know what we're supposed to be doing. We know and we believe in God. Just get comfortable. We get complacent. Well, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, throughout our history, when God sees we become complacent, God becomes complacent. That's the whole story of Purim. I don't want to get too far off track. But the whole miracle of Purim is when God was awakened from his sleep. In other words, it says, when we go to sleep, God goes to sleep. When we forget about our mission, God, so to speak, forgets the fact that he's chosen us to be his chosen people, and he lets the nations of the world, for lack of a better term, attack us. And then when we wake up, and when things, unfortunately, it takes sometimes a lot of outward pressure for us to scream out to God. It says right before Mashiach comes, we will literally scream to God, because we'll realize none of these presidents, no president is going to save you. If you're waiting for Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg, whatever his name is, if you think they're gonna that is who's going to redeem you, you think President Biden is going to redeem you? I've got some oceanfront property to sell you in Kansas. Only God is going to redeem us. And that's what we're going to come to this realization. That so many of these people who smile at us want to kill us and want to destroy us. And it's just a giant illusion. We will wake up, boom, and reconnect to our source. That realization, that faith, that belief that we know that God is the one who's responsible for us and that God will take us out of this exile and God will avenge our blood. Without a doubt, 100%. And it's happening right now, as the Rebbe said. That all comes from Avraham Avinu, the first Jew. He's the one who put that in the essence of our soul. It is God put it, but it's from his power that started with the bris that began revealing. Okay, back inside. Excuse me, Matan Torah, who said Etzem Yisrael. The unique thing of the revealing of the name Havaya in Matan Torah is connected to the essence of the Jewish people. Yom Shak Mizgalagam Bechinas Hagiluim, that is drawn down and revealed in a revealed way. The koach has a nefesh, in the powers of our soul. Even as we found ourselves down in this physical world, in our physical bodies. In other words, we have the same connection to God as we did above. The only difference is above it was revealed. Down here, it is temporarily concealed, but God gives us the tools to reveal it. What are the tools? It says in Pirkei Avos, Torah, Tefillah, Gemara Chasidim. Learn Torah, daven, pray, and do mitzvahs. Do those things, and guess what? The fog, so to speak, lifts. Today, the Paul and that causes a drawing down in this level of godliness that is above the boundaries of upper and lower worlds. Vav. Let's get a little deeper. Chidush, the Matan Torah, and the unique thing of the giving of the Torah is not only as it's revealed below, but how it's connected also to the drawing down of the essence. Since specifically through drawing down below, it reveals the essence of the Jew, the essence of God, the essence of the world. And therefore it is not bound in any type of limitations. And it's able to draw them and spread out all over the place. And furthermore, the drawing down of the etzim, this began through the avos. The mitzvah's milah, through the mitzvah of the snippet. That since it is not drawn down also into the world. That was not recognizable, the essence at that point in time. From the side of the boundaries of the world. Only after the giving of the Torah. Only after the giving of the Torah was this godly energy able to be revealed, because then the world became a proper vessel for it. Again, Avram was the pipe. He opened up this process, this beginning of this process. But it was not until the giving of the Torah that it was able to actually take place and be fulfilled. Nevertheless, the power to draw down the essence is through the avos, came through the avos. Since the service of the children, the Jewish people, took place after the giving of the Torah, mainly it's connected to the enclothement and the working in the boundaries of the world down here below. That's our main work in this world. That's not the case with the forefathers. Their work is connected directly to the essence of the soul. And this power was drawn down to the children, to the Jewish people. And this reveals the essence through our service down here below. Okay, let me continue, then I'll explain a little bit more. That the giving of the Torah brought about the marriage between the Jewish people and Hashem. And this also was brought about specifically through the forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And this is emphasized, Aleph. Sha'avoda is abanim, to the service of the children, which is from the power of the avos. In other words, we're capable of performing our work down here in this world and rectifying this world through mitzvahs and physical actions, specifically because of the power that was given to us from the avos. In other words, I got power. That power comes from our forefathers. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do it. And base. That the power of the Avos is revealed through the drawing down below of the service of the children. In other words, they give us that power, and we reveal that power through doing our work. In other words, the just to talk about that for 1 second. The power to draw down this godly energy that took place in the Torah, that took place in the giving of the Torah, comes specifically through Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Our forefathers gave us the power and the ability to do our work down here below in this world. And when we do our work in this world, I'm not talking about our physical work, what we do for a living. I'm talking about our work of sowing and reaping this garden that God gave us called the Olam Hazeh, this physical world, and preparing it and getting it ready for the revelation of Mashiach and God's return to his garden, to his world, where it will be beautiful, which is, we're going through the last stages, the final contractions of the birth, if you will, where it looks the opposite of beautiful. That's just because it's a brief, which was taking a lot longer than it should be, darkness before the light comes. So it's specifically connected. We reveal that power through our work in serving God. In other words, the God made Zeh le'omad Zeh. Everything he made for holiness, he made for the opposites. So the way it's supposed to be is the true power of a Jew comes specifically through doing Torah and mitzvahs. In other words, the more mitzvahs we do, the more Torah we learn, the more we pray, the more tzedakah we give, the more goodness we do in this world, the more powerful we become, because we're tapping in to the power of the essence of our soul, which is connected specifically to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, which come from the world of Zah, of Etzilus, basically Hagas, Chesed, Gavor, and Tiferes, which are the emotions of God, if you will, in the upper world of Etzilus. We draw down that energy into this physical world and our physical bodies by learning Torah, by doing mitzvahs. I remember the first time when I first started learning Torah, going back 16 years ago, when I first came to yeshiva, it was like I don't know how else to explain it, but you're learning Torah, you're out doing mitzvahs, and it's like my wife said when she first met me, I was in 2 years in yeshiva, and she said I was glowing like a lamp. I was like shining, I was like flying high. And I've done a lot of drugs in my day, so I know what it means to get high, but it's nothing compared. I had so much godly energy in me. And I was just like, I felt like I could literally conquer the world. I was just like, wow, it's just so much, because you're drawing down power. In other words, the more you work for Hashem in this world, the more power God gives you and the more abilities you have to transform the world. And also to enjoy your life and have goodness in your life, to be successful in every aspect of your life. That's the true power of a Jew. False power is when a Jew or a non-Jew or anyone has takes godly energy, especially through, God forbid, impure sources. All this negativity in the world, going back from Pharaoh to Hitler, Yermak Shema, to Stalin, to Napoleon, all these horrific world leaders that brought destruction to the world. They were huge sorcerers. They lived in their black magic. And I don't want to tell you where they got their energy sources from, and it's still going on now because you don't want to get sick and vomit for the next few days. But they take pureness and turn it to impurity and use that to empower them. And we could use that, even we see a lot of secular Jews you see out in Hollywood. It's a perfect example. So they start getting this ego starts going up, and they start thinking that they're, God's gift to the world because they're a movie producer, or they're an actor, or they're a director, or they own a movie studio, so they can do what they want, they can be whoever they want. And it's horrible. They're using an impure power, and eventually they all fall because it's not real. That's not real strength. That's not real power. So the real power comes about specifically by carrying forth God's will in this world, and it's by tapping into the Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and that's starting to connect what's going on here in the Sikha Zion. Yesh Lamar, in addition to this, To explain more specifically what it means, and that by Havaya, excuse me, they did not know me. גם לאחרי מתן תורה שהרי התורה הוא נצחית לכאורה כיוון שכבר עברו אלפי שנים מאז שנסגלה שם הוויה במתן תורה. מה שייך אתה הנה דשמי הוויה לא נדעתי. The Rebbe is saying, hold on a second. Even after the giving of the Torah, and we know that the Torah is eternal, it's not a history book, it's a map and a blueprint on how to conduct our lives in every step of our lives and every time and place throughout all of creation. Seemingly that since after we've already received the Torah, after over 2,000 years ago, or several thousand years ago, then it says, wait, hold on. After that God revealed his name Havaya by the giving of the Torah. So why is it shaykh now to say, Yishmi Havaya lo ledadati? In other words, why are we learning this Torah portion and what are we gaining by it now when God is saying that the Avos didn't come to know me by the name Havaya? Or thousands of years after the giving of the Torah. What's the connection now? Because the Torah is eternal, there must be a message that we're getting from this now. There is to say an explanation in this. Even though in Matan Torah the name Havaya was revealed, in the future to come it says, and Havaya the Elokim. Havaya is Elokim, another lower level of godliness. That the revealing from the upper place even more until the name Havaya is its importance is only like Elokim, a lower level of godliness. Because God Hashem Havaya Na'alis Yaiser, then the name Havaya will be revealed even higher. And the main revealing will be God's great name. Nimsa comes out from the Shagam Shebetzar Umar Metzav Achim Matan Torah Hu Ba'oifen Dishmei Havaya Lo Nedareti. And there we see that after the giving of the Torah, it still says in the name of Havaya, they didn't come to know me. But Erech L'Gilui Shem Havaya, let's see the vote. As it's compared to the revealing of the name Havaya, which will take place in the future to come. In Mashiach times, it's going to be a much, much, much higher level than even it was in the giving of the Torah. And this is the unique thing, including also the giving of the Torah, the new Torah that will come out from me. Then we'll have the completion of the marriage between Hashem and the Yidden. And it says that this entire world has been one long engagement. In other words, we're going to break it down to three levels. Well, it's more than that, but I'm going to simplify it. The first state of revealing of godliness took place when Avraham Avinu circumcised himself. And that was when God revealed his name by the name El Shaddai. And that name was a high level of godliness that God brought into the world through Avraham Avinu and began the process of rectifying or turning the physical world into a place for God, or holiness, or Kedusha. Then we have Matan Torah, then we have the giving of the Torah, where God revealed himself on a higher level, which is the name Havaya, which then through the giving of the Torah, it created the ability for the upper worlds to come down and the lower worlds to go up. And that is when God took the Jewish people and said, we've got a special mission now in the world, that the world has been corrupted for thousands of years. And I tried to make the world a place of goodness and godliness. And instead, people were doing the complete opposite and just savages eating and attacking and destroying each other. So now I need you to bring this Torah and bring this message and bring this godliness, this godly energy into the world, and therefore I'm making the world a place that has the capacity to reveal godliness where it didn't before. But that is like the engagement. God says, Jewish people, we're now getting engaged. In other words, you're mine and I'm yours. We're making an oath, we're making a bond. We're connected, but I'm still God and you're still the Jewish people. But in Yemot Mashiach, when Mashiach reveals himself, it's going to be no longer I'm God and you're the Jewish people. you will return to complete oneness with me, and that is going to be the marriage. That is going to be the name Havaya, which is Havaya Elyon. It's called the upper Havaya, which is even higher than the name Havaya that came down in Matan Torah. And that is when that godly energy and the whole entire world will be transformed into complete godliness. And there'll be nothing but godliness. There'll be no evil. There'll be nothing bad, no death ever again. And that is the true marriage that will take place. Now let's explain this a little more. The shame, she is by air, the el, the gabi, So there's an advantage, the Rebbe says, of the service of the Jewish people after the giving of the Torah, regarding the service of the Avos before the giving of the Torah. It's specifically through drawing down below the essence that took place after the giving of the Torah, and all the time that was not drawn down below, before, only the mitzvah of Milah. And therefore we see this connected to the advantage that will take place in the future to come, even regarding the giving of the Torah. In other words, we're just going higher and higher and higher in levels. And even though it appears to be getting darker and darker and darker and worse and worse and worse, it's the opposite. Because there's so much godly energy coming into the world that the klippas are running to try to suck from it, to take from it, to use it. And they're running out of places to go. See, that it says in Chassidus that end is wedged in the beginning. In other words, there's up and there's down, there's God, and there's away from God, so to speak. And the forces of impurity have been trying to take the godly energy and run away from God. And so God is coming down now like this, and they're running and running down. But what they're not realizing is not only is God coming down, but he's returning the world from the beginning and the end. So it's no longer a straight line, but a circle. So now the down is starting to come back up. So God is coming down and he's coming up. So they're running up to go, they think they're running down, but they're really running up. And the divine energy is coming and they're like, they're freaking out. So they start running down and the divine energy is coming down and they're running out of places to go. And they're eventually just going to get swallowed up. And that's what's happening right now. That's why there's such mass panic in the world right now. Unfortunately, the majority of the world is not aware of this. But hey, what can we do? They're not tuning into our shiurim every week. Ki ha'adara habala te'etzem hi lo yirak b'hamshach lamata. And this is penetrated in the boundaries of the essence. Not only is it drawn down below, also, but it's that it's revealed below. In other words, not only is this divine energy in this world, but it's starting to become in a state of revealed, in a revealed way. And it's the revealing is becoming more and more. Have you noticed in the last year, it's for years and years and years, people knew something was wrong in the world. There's always talks about the shadow government and the Illuminati and the Cabal and all those things, but not too many people were versed on it. I've been studying this for 15 years, and I actually learned about all these Mishigas before I became observant. And that's when I realized there's something majorly wrong in the world and started realizing that there's a deep force of evil that's trying to enslave the world. And now it's becoming revealed. Now it's like common talk. It's like people are talking about this, and you're starting to see with your physical eyes, good and bad. If you still can't figure out who is good and bad, then I think you need to get your spiritual eyes checked. But it's not what the news is telling you, that's for sure, because the news is being controlled by a small group of people. There's 6 corporations control 90% of the media that you see, hear, and read in this country, in the world. How crazy is that? And if you think that they're looking out for your best interests and they want to keep you informed and they're trying to help you, you're lost hope. Anyways, the point of the point of it is it's all coming out. You're starting to see more and more because good and evil are starting to separate. And you're starting to see that the mixing up together that took place with the tree of good and evil, and it's restoring to the tree of life. You're going to start seeing really soon, when God says, I'm putting before you today a blessing or a curse, life or death, choose life. Those who are with God are going to start seeing what is life. And those who are not are going to start seeing the opposite. Because it is, make no mistakes about it right now, they have declared war on God. And God doesn't lose. And I would hate to be on the losing side. So watch. Look in front of you in the World Theater. It's all getting revealed. Anyways, and that's what the Rebbe says now. Not only is the godly energy draw down into the world, but it's starting to get revealed. We can see it. That the essence, which was not palatable so much in the world, but for sure, now it's able to be reached in a state of revealing. Again, it's all coming out. It's all coming out. Since by doing the service of fulfilling Torah and mitzvahs, also as it's drawn down below, I will be good but revealing below in this physical world. Wait, hold on. It will only really take place in the future to come, where the essence is going to be revealed in a palatable way, where there'll be no mistaking. Everything will be godliness. And all the time that it is not revealed down here below, because it's not the essence, so to speak. Because the essence of something is above being revealed. Once it's revealed, it's no longer its essence. When you call your name, right? That is not who you are. That's how someone calls you. That's a state of being revealed. God's names are all different manifestations of how he reveals himself. But his essence is above being revealed. And the very nature of an essence of something is that it's the opposite of being revealed. But when Mashiach comes, we're going to have the fusion of opposites. The essence itself is going to be revealed. We can't wrap our head around what that means because we've never experienced it. But we're going to very soon. That since the service of the Jewish people that is brought about after the giving of the Torah is derivative from the power of our forefathers from before the giving of the Torah, that in the giving after the giving of the Torah that we have emphasized and found drawn out down below in a revealed way. This is not the case that took place before the Torah, where the main service was connected to the essence. And similarly, the power, the completion that will take place in the future to come, which is happening right now, where the power of the service is connected to right now. In other words, our work right now is determinative of the essence that's going to be revealed when Mashiach comes very soon. Since in the future to come, I already said that, this is going to be revealed mainly in the world. Specifically in the time of the exile, which we're still in the final moments of, the main service is connected through the side of the essence, and that's what the Rebbe says. That the main work right now is connected to the essence of our soul. The essence of our soul is Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh, self-sacrifice in previous generations meant life or death. Shuto. In the times of communist Russia, you signed up to help the Frierdiker Rebbe teach Torah to kids, build mikvahs, learn Torah, daven, at the cost of your life. If you got caught, you knew it was either a death penalty or exile to Siberia, which is not much better. That's what took place in previous generations. The mysterious nefesh of our generation, the self-sacrifice of our generation, is our time. It's our ratzon, it's our will. We have everything open for us. It's just a question of whether we're going to use our time for ourselves and be selfish, or we're going to use our times for God and to be selfless. That is the self-sacrifice of our generation. The Haisif, in addition to the Shigam, Sheshlemus, Hasilabo, Kulal, Bakach, Etel Ha'avois, and even the completion that that takes place in the future to come, comes from the power of our forefathers. Shlosha, Atiman, so three things God gave a taste of in this world that are connected to the world to come. Avram, because he call Avram, it says in everything. Yitzchak, because he call Yitzchak, it says with everything, and Yaakov, see Bibakal, and Yaakov, it says in everything. The Ikar Hashem was in Giluiza, and the main completion is Yehida see the book will take place in the future to come. When everything will be revealed from everything, in everything, and with everything. All the Amos, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Etzel, Kol, Israel. And this is through the work of the Jewish people. Is starting to build the picture together, how it's all coming together between us and our forefathers. Let's continue. Ches. The Yesh Lamar is to say, Shishleim was bigly the Shem Havaya, the seed of Vol, the completion of the revealed name of Vaya, which will take place in the future, which will take place in the future to come. Marumaz, Parsha, Betchilin, the Kroy, Mizman Hamicha. The Shabbos Parshas Vira or Parshas Boy. We see this hinted in what we are learning in Mincha and Shabbos, which is Parshas Boy. On the pasuk it says V'yamar Hashem al Moshe bo el Paroi. Hashem says to Moshe, come to Paroi. It's brought down in the Zohar. The Eli Kadosh Baruch Hu Adrin Batar Adrin Gabi Tanina Chada Ila'a. I don't want to get into this too much because it's really cool stuff. But in next week's Parsha, where we will already be in the base of Migdash, and we'll be learning about Melech HaMashiach himself. We're going to learn about, it says in the Zohar, when Hashem says to Moshe, come with me to Paroi. This is going to be, it's brought down that, what does he say, come to Paroi? God says to Moshe, come to me in room after room. In other words, deeper and deeper and deeper to the essence, where you will find the great crocodile. Now, the Zohar calls Paro a crocodile. Yeah. Which is a further manifestation of the Nachash, which is the snake. But we'll get into that next week with God's help. For sure, the Parshat the Kedusha, and the source of Paro is in holiness. The Gilui Bechinas Hamishis the Paro, which is the revealing of the fifth level of Paroi. Zela Omodzeh. Everything that God creates for good, he creates for the opposite. And the worst klippas in this world draw down from very high levels in their source above in holiness. These Pario, these Galin, Mine Konori, which Paro represents these very high, uncontrollable lights from the world of chaos, which is the fifth level, corresponding in Kedusha to Adam Kadmon, primordial man. But they originate in Chitzonius Adam Kadmon, which is Arak Anpin, not Panemius Adam Kadmon, which is Atik Yoimim. In other words, in the original source of godliness, there's no opposition. But as it starts drawing down, even the upper worlds, even in the fifth world of Adam Kadmon, the world of Tov, or the world of chaos, snatches that light, it takes that light. These are the two great sea monsters, or the Leviathan, and they begin the process of turning the light into use for evil, for klipas. And that is where peril comes from. That's the source of peril. The Gilui Bechinas Chamishis that's revealed in the fifth level, which is above the four letters of the name Havaya. And this is connected to the name of Havaya that will be revealed in the future to come. That is not compared at all to the name Havaya that was revealed in Matan Torah. The name of Havaya that was revealed in Matan Torah is connected to the world of Etzilus, which is the fourth world, where Hishtalshalus actually begins to take place. It actually takes place in Bria, the world below it. But that is not the essence which is connected to the world of Adam Kadmon, which precedes it. That level of godliness is concealed from us at this point in time. It will be revealed. Chassidus draws down from there. It's a foretaste of redemption. That's what we learn about Chassidus. And that's the source of peril, the lower aspect, or the revealed aspect of those worlds. In other words, it comes from a negativity of peril, which is the source of all sorcery and black magic and evil in the world, comes from that fifth level. The Haisif Shepashit Boi, the Parshas Hashlishis, the Sefer Shmois, Sefer HaGeula, and says this is the third book, Bo, which we read on Shabbos Mincha. In the third book of the book of Shmois. It's called the Sefer HaGeula, the book of redemption. Beshmor Sheruma says Gam Al Hagula Shlishis Nitzchis, and this is connected to, or hinted to, the third redemption. Parshas Bo. Kamosh Kasu Yechayenu Miyomim V'Yom HaShlishi Kiyamaram Nechayim Lefanu. And on the third day, it says literally, you will come and stand before me. Okay, but Prati Jaiser. Gimel HaParshiyah Shmois Be'erat Bo. Hein Keneged Gimel HaTkufos HaKlalis Lifnei Matan Torah La'asila Bo. The Rebbe is now saying the three first books, the three first parshas in the book of Shmois, which are, I should say, it's proper English, is Shmois, Vayera, and Bo, are connected to the three general periods of creation before the giving of the Torah, and Yemot HaMashiach, the future coming. Parsha Shmois, Shebo Medubar Oidei Sha'avoy Mitzrayim. Parsha Shmois began the descent into our slavery in Egypt. Kor HaBarzel, the iron crucible, as it's called. Sha'al Yedai Nasiyas Hakana, the Matan Torah, and through this it brought about the preparation for Matan Torah. It was a cleansing, it was a purification, just like we're going through now, just before, right, this not inside, but just before, right before Mashiach comes, the previous Rebbe says it will be the darkest, it will be the birth pangs of Mashiach. The whole corona, all this chazarai that's going on right now, it's the final rectification of the world, the removing of the last bits of klipa before the godly energy is revealed in the world. And that was the same thing of going down into Egypt. That was preparation for receiving the Torah. That brought us to and prepared us for receiving the Torah. And Parshas Vayera, where we're in now, Omer Lebnei Yisrael, Ani Havaya, where it said, say the Jewish people, I am Havaya, V'yadati ki Ani Havaya, and you do in the Matan Torah. This is connected to the name Havaya, which is revealed and connected to the second period of creation, Matan Torah. Bo El Paroi, and next week, come to Peril, is Prinu Yizgalim, B'nei Kol Nohari, Amor Betzal Dasidavo. The revealing of these very high energy and lofty lights, which happen to coincide with the inauguration. It'll get your popcorn out, boys. It's going to be a wild show. Woo! People have no idea what's about to come down. Anyways, that's next week. And also, literally, next Shabbos is Yud Shvat. And the Rebbe said, as we learned last week, this Yud Shvat is the 70 years since the Rebbe took over as Messias. Since the Rebbe took over as Rebbe and said that we are the generation of redemption. That we are the last generation of the exile and the first generation of redemption. And that 70 years, the Rebbe said last week, is the completion of the Messias. After 70 years, the job of the leader is finished. That's all coming next week. So, Parshas Bo, which is connected to the revealing of this very high, lofty lights of chaos connected to Paroi, is also connected to the future to come, the redemption. Yes. יש כאשר האמר לאל גם אם הזמן שבו קוראים בשנה זו פרשת בערב לתחילת פרשת בוי Shabbos מברכים חודש שבט. You see the connection also that it's Shabbos מברכים בחודש שבט when the sikh was given. Shabbos מברכים חודש שבט הוא בסיום בחודש טבת, חודש העשרי, ובו נמשכת הברכה מנתינת כוח לחודש שבט, חודש 11. יש לומר שבסיום החודש העשרי שלמות המספר מוגשת שלמות עבודת בני ישראל. We see that we are now entering the month of Shvat, which is the 11th month. It's brought down in the Gemara. We count years starting in Tishrei. That's the beginning, the head of the year. But we count months starting in Nisan. That's the counting of the months. That was the first commandment given to the Yidden. And that is the beginning of the first month in Nisan. When we count the month starting with Nisan, the 11th month is Shvat, which is coming up now. And the 11th month is connected to the future to come. The Rebbe says the number 10 is completion in this world, and 11 is connected to redemption. It's not a coincidence that the Rebbe took over the Nasias the year after the previous Rebbe of his Talmud. Not on Yud, but on Yud Aleph. And the Rebbe gave the Maimer Basi Lagani at night, not at Yud, but on Yud Aleph, the 11th day of Shvat, the 11th month, in 5711, the 11th year, and that the Rebbe's birthday is on the 11th of Nisan. None of this is coincidence, my friends. The number 11 is connected to the redemption, and everything about the Rebbe's existence is the number 11 and is connected to redemption. Because the number 11 is above the number 10, which is the completion of the Spheroids. So it's referring to a higher level, a level of above the Spheroids. All that is based on Parshas Ve'eravoy. And the number 10 is connected to the completion of the first two Parshas, which is the era. The number 11 is connected, we see, to the completion of the third Parsha, which is Boy, which is indicative of Mashiach, or the 11. In addition to this, she'enin ha'geula merumaz gam b'shmoi shel ha'chodesh kafi shenikra b'shmoi ha'chadoshim she'aloi mehem u'mavel shvat hu aleph melashon shvit moshlim b'prat v'hamshala Malchus based David. Shvat Shevet is talking about the Hebrew month of Shvat is the same root of Shevet, which is a tribe, or also a staff. Ad ki yavo Shiloh, and it says until Shiloh comes, referring to Melech HaMashiach. Shvat. This is connected to the word Shvat and Shevet and tribe and the month of Shvat are connected. Zem Melech HaMashiach, referring to Melech HaMashiach. Loshen Hanaf Eliyan, Kamosh Kod Yatzar Chaytar Mengal Zarazim Hashem Yatzar Shvat Malucha. Shorash Yeshi Yishai Mizira David Hu Melech HaMashiach, referring to the number 11, referring to the tribe of Yehuda, where it says he's connected to Mashiach, and that it says Ad Shiloh Yavo, Ad Yavo Shiloh, until Shiloh comes, which is the name of Mashiach, one of his names, is referring to Melech HaMashiach. Yud. Bargasha Yisra B'Doreinu Zeh. And all this applies even more in our generation. Esri B'Shvat, connected to the 10th of Shvat. The Rebbe says Allah has kama v'kama esri b'chodesh echad eser. How much more so to the 11th, because Shvat is the 11th one. Because what happened on the 10th of Shvat is Hilula of Kodesh Kadoshim Mar V'Chamei Admor Nasi Doreinu. The Frierdiker Rebbe, the leader of our generation. And the matters that are connected to a Hilula. It's in Hebrew, it's called Hilula, not a Yortzeit, because Hilula means to elevate. On the day of the passing, especially of the leader of the generation, the previous leader, his soul gets elevated from level to level and level, and all his good deeds are drawn on this world. Kamosh Rasul Rabbeinu Hazakin is brought down by the Alter Rebbe in the Tanya, all the deeds and all the service throughout one's life are revealed down below on one's yortzeit on the day of one's passing. Yeshua is Bekarayv Haaretz, and then they're drawn down to the physical world. Go to Beikar Bekla, Anetinas Koach Al Hamshech Hatzmicha Beyoser She'es Beyoser Ois LaAchra Gistal Koisoim Gotza'a Hazriya the Kovasa Vatorasava Ashira Vakoy Mechayav, that all the seeds that he sowed, all the work he did, all the seeds, I guess, he reaped, you would say more, in this world through his Torah learning and his good deeds and his service of God. All this will bring forth life, not only on his yortzeit, but when Mashiach comes. In other words, when Mashiach comes, all the good deeds we do now will be revealed in their full capacity. Right now we get a little taste. When Mashiach comes, we're going to say, oh man, why did I waste so much time crouching around on social media and video games and watching sports and wasting all my time? For what? I could have been planting trees of goodness that would be lasting for eternity. And as the Frierdiker Rebbe already said, this is going back to the Frierdiker Rebbe's time, we've already reached all ends. We're at the end of the line of the Gullus, and everything is ready for the feast. That we're sitting literally ready for at the table of Mashiach in the Beis Hamikdash. The table is set. We've got the Suda, the Leviathan, the Shura Bor, the guarded wine. The Yeshua Mothers, the Sheishu Klalos, Azman Akashur Im Yoyim Hailula, the Esri Shvat. This is including the time that is connected with the day of the Elula on the 10th of Shvat of the Frierdiker Rebbe, Nechedet Legimat Kufoit Shehem, Al Dragmadum Legimat Kufot Klodem Shekal Hadoros, Sharum Bezaz, Gamoha Parshir Shemois Vira Havoy. The Rebbe now is taking, just like we said, that there's these three parshas are connected to Shmois Vira Baboy, are connected to the three periods of creation, before the Torah, and after the Torah, the future to come. The three periods of the Frierdiker Rebbe's leadership, the Rebbe says, are also connected to these three periods. The Kfol Rishona, the first period, 40 years. In the time of the leadership, oh, I'm sorry. The first period of the Frierdiker Rebbe's leadership is 40 years. Are talking about the continuation of the Nesius of his father, the Rebbe Rashab, and that the Rebbe Rashab brought forth this completion of the concept of spreading the well springs outside through establishing the yeshiva of Tamchei Tamim Yeshiva, the first Lubavitch yeshiva in the world, where they are taught Nigla, revealed Torah, and Chassidus Panemius Torah together in the same Seder. And Baruch Hashem, I merited to go to Yeshiva's Tamchei Tamimim, or Tamimim, the English-speaking division, for 2 years in Far Chabad. That was established by the previous Rebbe's father, the Rebbe Rashab, and that was for 40 years. And this was similar to the service of the Avos, which prepared the children, the Jewish people, for receiving the Torah. In other words, the Rebbe Rashab, through establishing Tapkei Tamimim, prepared the Frierdiker Rebbe for his Messias and his leadership and bringing the next level of spreading out the wellsprings. Tukfa Sheni, in the second period, Shloshim Shanois v'Nesuosei b'Chaim Chayosei b'Amedin. The 30 years of the Nesius of the life of the Frierdiker Rebbe, of the time that he was Rebbe, and did his service as Rebbe. The Torah's Chassidus Chabad, that he really brought forth and renewed in a whole new way the spreading out through his Nesius, through his leadership, of the teachings of the Torah Chassidus of Chabad to the furthest corners of the world. The Frierdiker Rebbe is the first one who actually sent out shluchim. And especially the unique final 10 years of his 30 years of his service as Rebbe. Where he brought forth and spread out the wellsprings to the lowest part of the globe, which is America, where the Frierdiker Rebbe came. And this is considered like the uniqueness of bringing forth the Matan Torah, the second period of creation. The Tukva Shlishis, and the third period, the Rebbe says, of the Frierdiker Rebbe's Nesias. The Hemshech Nesias Shla'achar Histachus, which continued his Nesias after he was Histalut. The Rebbe says, whenever the Rebbe talks about the Frierdiker Rebbe, he's referring to himself, because he, as the Rebbe is pointing out and elucidating now, is the completion of the Frierdiker Rebbe, his leadership, which took place after the continuation of the Frierdiker Rebbe's leadership. 1 second, I just want to see something. Miyorim Ashti Esther, the Chodesh Esti Esther, the Shanas Ashti Esther. On the 11th day, in the 11th month, in the 11th year, the Rebbe is saying, that's when the Rebbe took over his Messias, as we said already. The Shvat is the 11th month. The 11th day, the Rebbe actually gave the Maimer Basi Lagani on Yud Aleph, the 11th day. And then the 11th year, Yud Aleph, again. There's deep Kabbalistic reasons why the Rebbe waited a year to officially accept the leadership and actually did it the following day. Again, 11, 11, 11. And this is adding on even more in the spreading out of the wellsprings to the furthest corners of the world through the Rebbe's leadership and sending out thousands and thousands of emissaries. Up until the completion of the service. And everything in the Rebbe is ready for the Suda, the celebration, the meal, the future to come, Yemot HaMashiach. That's it. The Rebbe said everything is done, finished. It's time to forbring. I don't know why he's revealing himself not already. Should happen now. More specifically, Yeshmar Shegimot Tukfois Hanal. Rumzim Begimot Tukfois L'Shloishim Shanayis Hanesias. And now the Rebbe is going to also break down the 3 periods specifically within the Frierdiker Rebbe's Messias himself. He says the first period is in the beginning of his Messias, where he experienced redemption from Russia, from communist Russia. The Iron Crucible. This is like the period from before Matan Torah, where his main service really was Mysterious Nefesh. We know the Frierdiker Rebbe gave his life in communist Russia. And the second period is when he went to Poland, which was not a picnic either. And that's connected to the second period, which is basically connected to the giving of the Torah. And the third period, when he came to the lowest part of the world, to America, and that's connected to the true and complete redemption. Okay, Yudov. Anoiga the fall. Baruch Hashem, gentlemen, we're the last few weeks we've been doing a good job. We've been shortening. We started earlier and we're finishing earlier. We've been really condensing it from 2.5 hours to 2 hours, which I'm quite proud of, because the truth is that we could spend 3, 4 hours, 5 hours going through these sichas and for bringing. There's just so much here, but you know, it's. I commend anyone who sits through the whole thing. It's not easy, but this is amazing stuff. Not because I'm giving it, because it's from the Rebbe. So we're now coming to the. That's it. Wow, Yud Aleph, final letter. Chazak Baruch. Ubenoiga the fall. And of course, there's a connection to actuality. The Rebbe says every single farbrengen, every class, everything has to turn into action. A meister hu ikra. The main thing is the deed. It's very nice to get together once a week and hopefully get inspired, inspire each other, get pumped up about redemption. But the idea is not to go to sleep and just, wow, that was inspiring. And then we wake up tomorrow and we kind of go back to our normal lives. The idea is to be inspired to action. So what's the action plan? As we're standing together in Shabbos Morachim and Chodesh Shvat, included also specifically in the 10th of Shvat. It's necessary, the Rebbe says, for every one of us to take upon ourselves even more and strengthen our deeds in Torah, Avodah Shel Baal Helula, specifically connected to the service of the Baal Helula, of the Frierdiker Rebbe. Kavod Kadosh Moed Rachami Nasi Doreinu, the Rebbe's father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe. Asher Harnoi Medarchav Nocha Baruchosav Nisan. Baprat V'habit of his kashris. The Rebbe says specifically by nullifying ourselves. In other words, nullifying our will, moving aside what we want to do and doing what we should do and what we took an oath to do when we came into this world. And that's by connecting to the Frierdiker Rebbe and nullifying ourselves to him and carrying out his service, which is connected to the Rebbe's service, which is what he's instructing us to do. Hanasi Hakol, because the Nasi is everything. Remember, Rebbe is Rosh B'nai Yisrael. He's our head. Our divine energy flows through him. And the more we follow his instructions and the more we follow his battle plans, the closer we get to him, the closer we get to God. The more we fulfill our purpose. I lost my place. Nasi Hakal. Okay. Called Echa Ve'echa Matziyaisei V'Kal. And this is connected to every single one of us. V'Kal Makal. In everything we do. Nasim Kodesh the Nasi Hadar. Literally, to connect to the holiness of the leader of the generation. And specifically through carrying out the objectives and fulfilling the shlichus of the leader of the generation, Moshe Rabbeinu Shabador, the Moshe Rabbeinu of our generation, Gal Rishon Gal Acharoi, the first redeemer is connected to the last redeemer. And the main thing is to bring about the days of Mashiach before Mamish. That's it. That is our task. That's our mission, to bring Mashiach. We're not waiting for anything. Waiting is for spectators. We're not spectators. We need to bring Mashiach. The hoist, in addition, Shiadia, Shetechach Miyad, Niknas, Kabek Kadosh, Mara, Hami, Admor, Nasi Darim. In addition, as is known, and immediately should enter the Frierdiker Rebbe, the leader of the generation. And he will lead us, and every one of his Hasidim and those connected to him will be right behind him. As because we have already completed and finished all of our work and all of our service. And for sure, we must participate in many farbrengens, many Hasidic gatherings to inspire one another. Achol miyoyin HaShabbos Kodesh Mavarchim the Chodesh Shvat. And especially on Shabbos Mavarchim, of Chodesh Shvat. Rosh Chodesh Shvat, and specifically on Rosh Chodesh Shvat, that's today. Rosh Chodesh Shvat, we need to be forbringing. This is kind of like a forbringing. The Esther Chodesh Be'echad the Chodesh. And the 11th, also in the 11th, the 10th of the month and the 11th of the month. Hoya Moshe Ba'ar as a Torah. And literally, all 70 languages of the world will be purified. The Arer, the Chazek, Ish Esra, Ehu, V'Kol, Hinini, Ha'omri. And will arouse and strengthen every one of the shepherds in his flock that he leads. And he will immediately and quickly lead us to the true and complete redemption. And for sure, we need to be preparing and working on extended farbringings on the 10th of Shvat. And for sure, they will be together with the Baal Hilula, with the Frierdiker Rebbe. Nasi Dereno Bereishayin, that he will be the first. Moshe v'Acharon, where Moshe and Aaron will be together with him. Kivan shetekach miyad mamish, and most importantly, this should happen immediately. B'yom Shabbos Kodesh Parshas Vayira, and this Shabbos Parshas Vayira, Yotziim Kol Bnei Yisrael Galus, and he will take all the Jewish people out of the exile. And the Areinu of Zikanenu, our young and our old, Babeinu of Asin, our sons and our daughters. Of Elashon Midrash, it says in the Midrash, Reuven, Shimon, Salih, Ali Kol Bnei Yisrael Min Hagalus. And then Reuben and Shimon went down, and Reuben and Shimon went out. And then all the Jewish people will come out of the Galus and to come into the true and complete redemption. And all the Jewish people will elevate to the level of the forefathers, will all be chariots of Hashem. And the true essence of every Jew, that we are literally one with the essence of God, will be revealed. And we will go higher and higher and higher in levels of godliness with no end. And we will go from strength to strength. And God will be returned to Tzion. And the third temple, and the temple that God establishes with his hands. We should have the full His Godless of the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach. We should be continuing in the base of Mikdash Shlishi. And get ready, gentlemen. It's unfolding right now. And God should bless us. And He should protect us and look over us and watch over us. And that we should go out of into the redemption of Chesed and Rachamim, and all reveal good. And our enemies will be revealed before our faces, and God will wipe them off the face of the earth. And it should happen right now. God bless you. Mashiach now. See you in the Beis HaMikdash.